Get ready with me as I tell you about how we adopted our new rescue dog, Rocky. So my fiance Hunter and I have fostered quite a few dogs throughout our relationship. I would say maybe 5 or 6 dogs. And typically we foster because I travel a lot on tour for my job and he works in an office a lot of the day. And so we always felt like we couldn't really take care of a dog full time. But we would foster so often because we felt like, one, it was such a great way to give back to our community and help some dogs who needed it, but also because it's just so fun to have dogs around. So we fostered all different types of dogs, and people always ask me how I'm able to give them back, like if I don't fall in love with them, and isn't it so hard? And it is, but at the same time, we often were fostering puppies, and puppies, as you can imagine, are a ton of work. You know, they need to be potty trained and they chew things up and they don't sleep through the night. And like, you can't really leave them alone. So it made it much easier giving the puppies back because, to be honest, I was often like really exhausted by the time I would give them back because I like was getting up in the middle of the night to take them out and waking up super early to make sure that they didn't ruin the house. It's super fun and they have the best, cutest energy, but it's just so much work. So anyway, over the winter, I reached out to the foundation that we've fostered with many times before because we were going to be home for an extended amount of time. And I asked if they had any dogs available that needed fostering, and they sent me Rocky Balboa. And Rocky is a roughly 2.5 to 3-year-old blue heeler who had been surrendered by his previous owner. And when I picked him up, he was terrified. I mean, literally, he wouldn't get out of my car. And I was trying to like coax him out by giving him salami and treats and just trying to make him feel safe. And he sat in my car, on the floor of my car, for probably 4 hours before my fiance came home and literally had to carry him out of the car. And it was just heartbreaking because we were like, what has this poor baby been through that makes him so scared? So Rocky was terrified. And I was texting with the foundation, just trying to figure out what to do, how to make him feel safe. So the night I got him, I went and bought him a crate because they said that you're supposed to let new dogs decompress, which means like give them a safe place that's quiet and like just let them get familiar to the scents and the sounds of your home. So we got him a crate and we left in there for a few hours, and slowly but surely over the next couple of days, he started to warm up to us and get a little bit more bold and a little more confident. After a few days, he was totally amazing and we just grew to love his energy, and he just fits so perfectly into our lives. He's the perfect size because he's like probably 35 pounds. And I always thought a smaller dog would probably be easier to manage, but both Hunter and I love, active dogs that we can take on hikes and runs and that are athletic and that we can take to the park and stuff. And so he's kind of a combo of both. He's small enough that we can pick him up and take him places, but he's big enough that he's active and loves to go on hikes. And he's a cattle dog, so he has tons of energy. He loves to play. He's really, really smart. So over the few weeks that we were fostering him, we just completely fell in love with him, and we felt like he fit into our lives so seamlessly. He was already potty trained. He already slept through the night. He was good at listening. He was learning commands really quickly. We would love taking him on walks. We loved taking him to the park. He was good with like literally every dog he met. My family really liked him. And then what was really special is Hunter and I got engaged at the end of December, and we had Rocky as our foster dog when we got engaged. And in the speech that Hunter gave me when he proposed, he talked about how I'm such a great dog mom to Rocky. And then Rocky was there when our friends were over to celebrate. So he was really a part of such a special time in our lives. But we had to give him back because we were traveling and going out of town for a couple of weeks, and you can't keep the fosters, obviously, if you're traveling. So we gave him back, and we said to ourselves, if he's still available by the time we get home from vacation and the holidays, then we'll seriously talk about adopting him, because we just loved him so much. And like, this was the first dog that I genuinely cried so hard when we gave him back. So we get home and I text my contact at the foundation and I say, is Rocky still available? And they say, no, he's getting adopted. And it was this like really bittersweet feeling of like excitement that he had found his forever home, but also devastation that we weren't his forever home. So that was a bummer. We ended up fostering another dog after that for a couple of weeks, and he was awesome, but it was just, he wasn't Rocky, and we just loved Rocky so much. And Hunter would like lie in bed at night and be like, I miss Rocky. So then we saw on Instagram that they posted about Rocky again. So I texted my contact and I said, did Rocky's adoption fall through? And she said, yes, it did. So at this point, we were still fostering Tony, the other dog. And they said that Rocky was doing really well in his other foster. And so we didn't want to disrupt his routine and what he had gotten comfortable comfortable with unless we really felt like we wanted to adopt him and keep him for good. And we couldn't just foster him again because that would mean we had to take him out of somewhere that he's started to be very comfortable. So then my contact texted me and said, do you want to foster Rocky again for a weekend because his current fosters are going out of town? Unfortunately, Hunter and I were also going out of town that weekend, so we couldn't. But it really kind of put into motion this conversation about, wait, should we adopt Rocky? Like, is he our dog? So Hunter and I went away that weekend and we just talked about it nonstop. We talked about the pros and the cons and are we ready and can we be good dog parents and what are we going to do when we're traveling and what's the best way that we can care for him. And we talked to our families to see if they would be willing to help and how they felt about it. And we talked about every detail. And finally I said, I'm going to text the foundation and just confirm that he is still available. And I'm kind of putting it into the universe's hands at this point. Like, if we're meant to have him, he's going to end up with us. And that's just how we have to think about it. So I text my girl at the LaBelle Foundation, and that evening before she responds, Hunter and I are eating dinner. We ordered Chinese food and they sent fortune cookies. And I said, what if this fortune cookie has like a message for us about what to do about Rocky? So I open my fortune and it says, you will win success in anything that you adopt. And for me, I mean, I guess that could be interpreted like a quadrillion ways, but for me, the word adopt was so clear. Like, it was just like literally a sign from the universe being like, this is your dog, you need to adopt him, and it's meant to be. So my contact texted me back. She said he's still available. So I was literally in a songwriting session, like texting her, and my co-writers were like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, I think I'm adopting a dog. So we went through with it, and the old fosters who had him ever since we had him came and dropped him off and gave us all of his stuff. We adopted him officially on February 12th. And the craziest part is that the other fosters told us that they also completely fell in love with him, and they had given themselves a deadline of Valentine's Day, which was literally 2 days later. And if he hadn't been adopted by Valentine's Day, they were gonna adopt him. So we were just like, this is fate. This is meant to be. And now we have a dog. And he's just so wonderful. And like, he recognized us when he came back, which made me so happy because I was a little nervous that maybe he would have forgotten us. And he's just so special. Like, I really just think he's our soul dog, and I think he was meant to be ours. And, you know, we're still training him, and there's still a lot to navigate and show him about his new life. But I'm just so happy that we were able to give him an amazing family, and he just makes our little family feel so much more complete. And we are so madly in love with him already. So that's the story of how we got our little Rocky, and I can't wait to include him in more content. Yay!